My Uber and Lyft friends, how do we get back-to-back long paying trips when we're driving on both platforms, right? So I'm going to use a driver, Alvin, as an example. I dropped off one of my cars at the mechanic today in Santa Monica, and I needed a pickup. The time is over there, 2:19, and then I'm heading out to Thousand Oaks, where I then picked up my Cadillac, right? The driver that I got with Lyft, um, his name was Alvin. He was a 5-star rated driver. That trip cost me $50.06, right? Where did it go from? We basically went over here, Santa Monica, drove at this time of the day, fastest way, all the way down PCH, cut across the canyon in Malibu, up to the 101, and then right up here to Thousand Oaks. Now, if you look at the graph on this side, it's exactly the same graph, right, in reverse. And what happened here? And how did this actually all transpire? Well, the one thing that I noticed in a conversation with my driver is that he really knew the city, right? He knew the city well, right? But what he didn't quite know is like, how do I set myself up for long, long back-to-back trips, right? Big paying trips. So now, if you're on the west side, you're basically in the busiest part of LA, Santa Monica, and you now are going outside of a city. And this goes for any type of big city, right? You're traveling outwards, right? And you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is such a long outbound trip. Remember, this went from 219 to 325, so we're talking 40, we're talking like 1 hour and 6 minutes, right? Outside of the city towards Thousand Oaks. At that point, when I'm all the way out, I want a second paying trip all the way in. So the second trip, and the guy drives as he should be on both platforms. And for any of you who are not on both platforms, sign up right now. Sign up with Uber or Lyft if you're not on both platforms. My links are underneath, and you reach out to me, Rideshare Professor, and I'll explain this model to you. So as we're all the way out there, he's not too familiar with the area. He says to me, well, it would be nice to get a nice long trip back. And I said, that's actually very easy. I said, what areas do you know out here that are very busy that could possibly take you all the way back, right? Basically the reverse graph of that, right? It's the same graph, but now done in reverse. You're all the way on the outside here in Thousand Oaks, and you want to come all the way into Santa Monica even further, right? LAX, right? So I explained to the guy is that the moment you drop me off over here, right? Switch off your app when we get to the destination, and now say to yourself, where is the very next busiest, super busy location for this time of the day? And we're talking almost the end of the day, so people will be done with their meetings for the day or be done with work, and they're heading home or heading back to the airport. I said to the guy, hey, you want to go to the biggest company out here, which has a lot of directors, a lot of big meetings, people flying. I will guarantee you the trip will take you all the way back to LAX. And he goes, well, what is it? And the company happened to be Amgen, right? AMGEN, all the way out there in Newbury Park. Now, I also said to him, if you don't want to go even further north, go to a big hotel like the Four Seasons Hotel off Lindero, and there will be a trip that'll take you all the way back to the west side, or maybe even to LAX, right? So he listened to my advice, and then I said, please take a screenshot and text me. I'm very curious where your return trip is going to take you, right? So Alvin then texts me not too much longer after he dropped me off. He must have probably switched off for about 5 to 10 minutes, headed right over to Amgen, and bam, what happens then? He gets a trip all the way out here where he dropped me off, even further, a little bit further. I asked him to go a little bit further north, and the same exact pattern in reverse, right? all the way down to LAX. So him being on the UberX platform, right? He's a 4.89 rated driver on UberX. He's a 5-star rated driver on Lyft, right? He's obviously, his car is slotted into the lowest category in Lyft and Uber. So the fares here, I tell you what, if this was an SUV or a Lux, you're talking $180 to $250. If this was an XL, you're talking $95 to $110, right? But because you're in a economy car and you're picking up economy passengers, and in this case, I wanted to interact with an X or with a Lyft driver, ask them questions. I get a lot of intel from them for my channel. I mix it up. Sometimes I get into an X, sometimes I get into an XL. But you know, I'm also paying for this 1-hour trip. So I'm also looking at like, okay, what am I going to be paying here? And the most economical way for me to travel at that point was with that X, right? The X vehicle. Now, he sends me a screenshot and says, wow, text message, the strategy worked, fantastic. I have a nice, long, paying trip back. And at that point, he's only 1 minute away from his passenger. That's the one he locked in. And the return trip, you can see, is an estimated 45 minutes. So to get outside of the city at that time took over an hour. To get back into almost the same spot is 45 minutes. And this is what I call setting yourself up for back-to-back long paying trips. Knowing your city is crucial, right? Especially if people are like, oh my gosh, this trip is taking me all the way out of the city. How do I get all the way back in? You have to know what the hot spots are around that first destination. That first destination happened to be in Thousand Oaks, here in a residential area. The closest areas that I could recommend to him, I said my first choice would be Amgen, huge company. The second choice that I would have made was the Four Seasons in Thousand Oaks off Lindero. But the strategy worked out, and he has a $50 paying trip with Lyft, and he's going to have the same with Uber. And then I tipped him 20% on top of that. Gosh, I keep on pointing to the wrong side, and everything's in reverse. So I gave him another $10 cash tip on top of that, right? So